to Jill's radio show.
Hi, David. How are ya?
Hi, Steve. Great. Thanks. How's yourself?
Good, mate. How's things going with you since we last had you on the show? It's been, 6 months?
It's been a while. Well, we've had a pandemic come back, of course. But I've been doing a bit of writing, a little bit of lecturing, public lectures. What else have I been doing? Teaching instruments, of course, and weekly gigs at Club Ride, doing an open mic night. So if you're in Sydney, pop up Thursdays 7:30 to 10:30 at Club Ride on Victoria Road.
Yeah, no, that's good. I've been doing a new show on YouTube called The Music Show, David, live streaming.
Oh, fantastic.
More Q&A and talking about music as well. As you know, I've done 300 videos and 300 episodes of the podcast as well. That's been great.
Yeah, no, and congratulations on that. That's a really terrific effort. It's not easy work. A lot of people think it is easy work, but of course it's not. So to get 300 up is a real achievement on your behalf.
Yeah, it's one of the best, and I've got a great community. But, you know, I sent out a newsletter this week about shadow banning. That's happened to me. The Sydney Morning Herald reported about it. I first came across it. I thought, it's been a year now, David. I've done all this content, and no one's engaging with my work with these tech companies.
Which tech companies are they? Could you explain what shadow banning is? It's a concept I'm not overly familiar with.
Well, because I have a conservative view in politics, as you know, and YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram are run by the left, the Democrats. And if you're conservative, happens to Sky News Australia, they make it virtually hard for you to get noticed with the algorithm.
Oh,
and it's pissed me off a lot. And, you know, I've had to go to Rumble. At least with Rumble, you can sync your YouTube channel up and monetize straight away. But there's certain things I'm just not happy about.
Yeah, I mean, if you're presenting reasonable arguments in a reasonable way, it's okay to disagree too, you know. But that's what discussion is. And one of the things that I've never really liked about politics over the last 10 to 15 years is the divisiveness of it all. And it's on both sides. You know, the left blame rude people on the right, and the right blame rude people on the left. But both sides have rude people. I think that's fair to say. Who provokes it? You know, I don't know, except I do suspect it comes from both sides too. This isn't an example of both sides, by the way. This is just my observation. And the common ground that people can find doesn't seem to be terribly prominent at the moment, which is a shame. Although I get the sense that maybe things are turning back to, well, okay, we don't agree on these issues, but we agree, we have the same tastes in literature or movies or music or something like that. And I think that's... well,
it's quite sad that the thing about over Christmas, cancel culture came around. Now, some conservatives have lost their jobs because of that. You know, Fox News, how they're supporting the right. Donald Trump's got Truth Social. That's the alternative to Twitter. I don't know if that's coming to Australia, but I'd like to get on it if I could. But this is what I'm not happy about, these tech companies, David. Discriminating.
The whole notion of free speech, and I'm not saying what they did is right. I'm not going to defend them. But I'm going to give a different perspective, which I don't think either of us are in favor of big companies. if you know what I mean. Hello to all the heads of the big companies out there. Give me a job. No, but in all seriousness, the notion of free speech is not as straightforward as it seems. It doesn't mean all free speech really refers to is your right to complain about a government without fear of being put into jail or government policy. A private firm can say, that Stephen Shields is way too handsome. He's distracting all of our employees here because of the high quality of his content. I'm assuming that's their argument. So we're going to block him. Now, as private firms, they've got the right to do that. And it's a terrible thing. You don't have the right, of course, to... another part of free speech is the responsibility that comes with it. And this isn't anything to do with... But some of your listeners are going to say, oh, you forgot this. And they're probably going to say, I forgot about another 15 of them too. Hello, listeners. Please be nice when you write to Steve. But the other thing is about how we use our language. So, of course, and I know something you'd never dream of doing, we don't call people by nasty names or racial epithets or sexist epithets or, we're not ableist, we're not ageist. But that's not a legislative, no, it is a legislative thing. That's not a, that's a evolution of free speech. It's a good one. I mean, I think, I suspect that at school, although you might be a bit young for this, having glasses may have got you attention that you neither wanted nor desired. Is that right?
Yeah. But David, it's like I've been watching Alan Jones because he's got his app, and they're speakers I relate to. I like Joe Rogan as well, although he's a lefty. But when he used the N-word a few years ago, he copped a lot of criticism. Now Spotify, Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan did, yep.
Now Spotify took 70 episodes down.
Yep, and the N-word is a very... Words have power. And this is what we forget. And to you and I, that word doesn't mean anything. But to a person of color, it's a word that has a whole layer and many layers of depth and meaning. And even if we were to use it with no intention of harm, it still hurts because words are really powerful, and they're powerful in ways that we sometimes can't know. You and I come from relatively privileged positions, and so to use such a word, even with the best of intentions, and I'm not sure what I don't know what your best of intentions are, but I'll put it another way. Even with, I just mean it as a joke, I'm only being funny. My friend knows that I'd never hurt him. I never want to hurt him. But it's not just you saying the word, it's the weight of the power of that word. And there's many other words too.
Well, it goes to show, I mean, Joe Rogan's a multimillionaire. He's commentated at USC. And look, he was using it in context of a conversation. He admitted to it. But I think some of the stuff, like, you shouldn't be saying that,
Yeah. And it's the whole Quentin Tarantino thing, but Tarantino uses it in specific contexts with specific actors, and the actors who he works with know this, and I understand that he spoke to people like Samuel L. Jackson about, I'm going to get you to use this word, you know, because that's how I understand that the films that I'm honoring spoke. And, you know, hip hop music and that whole argument of should they use it, should they not use it, should they, you know, I'm a real, you know, I don't use the word because, you know, and I think, you know, when in doubt, when I was a young computer operator back in the day, before the internet, that's how old I am. The first rule was when in doubt, don't. Because back then you didn't have cloud backups. If something went wrong, it could be really disastrous. So if you weren't sure and you didn't get into trouble for this, you could ask 50 times, is it that option or that option? And they'd say, you know, it's that one. Click, fine, done. You know, and that's my opinion on using words.
Yeah, it was quite...
If it seems wrong, don't.
Yeah, it's quite interesting when that happened over Christmas, the whole cancel culture. You know, 70 of his episodes taken down by Spotify. As you know, he signed a $100 million deal with them. That's a lot of money.
Almost as much as we get.
Yeah, I want to get that one day, and you too. Yeah. But people thought, Joe Rogan was a racist, but he's not a racist. He was apologetic for that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I've heard a bit of his stuff. I would hesitate to call him racist because I haven't heard enough of his stuff to say, oh, he must be. You know, I get bits and pieces. And I've watched a couple of shows. I sort of watch when he gets in the alternative historians. I watch those with interest. I don't watch when he's talking to politicians or when he's talking about that type of stuff because I get my politics from elsewhere. No, from both right and left wing. And, you know, I think Joe's on every day and I just don't have time to listen to anyone but the Stephen Shields radio show every day.
I wanted to ask because when I mentioned shadow banning was political, these tech companies, like I said, influenced the 2008 election with Barack Obama YouTube because they're run by the Democrats. So you got things like Rumble coming out where the conservatives can hang out without being shut down, David.
Yep. And I mean, that's perfectly, you know, if people are feeling uncomfortable on existing social networks and they set up their own, I don't see a problem with that. Do you know what I mean? And if I want to go onto it and I'm on enough social media, you know, and I go in and stir it up and they kick me off it, that's fair enough too. You know, and that's their right. And, you know, if you're on Rumble or any of those, I'm not about to join. So, you know, don't.
I want to have you on there because I put my content on there.
Knowing that I might go on, but, you know, I won't go in and stir up and get into arguments. It's quite easy to not get into an argument. It's surprisingly easy to not get into an argument. You just don't answer, you know. God gave us the scroll button.
But it was interesting when the Sydney Morning Herald published that. And I was like, whoa, so this is what's happened to me, David. Shadow ban. Have you experienced shadow banning yourself or not?
No, I haven't. I do run a progressive or co-host. I do co-host a progressive podcast.
How's that going for you with Eddie Djokovic?
With Eddie, yeah, that's right. It really good. I was really worried that after the election we'd lose everyone because, you know, we were more against the government than say we were for them. And I thought that we'd lose all our listeners. In fact, we've had a bit of an increase in listeners. And of course, we're still criticizing the current government where we feel that the criticisms are warranted. It's not really about the Labor Party is right 100% of the time and the Liberal Party is wrong 100% of the time. It's about trying to hold the government of whatever stripe to account, you know.
So I listened to a few of your shows. You got good content. I noticed your shows on the left.
Yes. Yeah.
What made you go to the left, David?
Partly the way that the right in Australia were going worried me. That issue is going to sort itself out over the next couple of electoral cycles, I think. And I'm not really talking about policy. I'm talking about corruption. I'm talking about that lack of proper parliamentary procedure. And the other, I mean, more broadly, I think it's I think we should start from a position of compassion, from a position of from a empathy, and over the last decade or so, I've found a bit more compassion and empathy. And it's not 100% there, but if you were to sort of weigh it all out, there's a bit more in the what you'd call the Australian left. I prefer the term progressive, although the corrupt right are trying to, and again, corrupt is the important word there, are trying to take that as a word that they could use. And of course, Australian progressives have a long history and they mostly come out of the right or go to the right, interestingly enough.
Well, it got to me, I started supporting the independents, like United Australia Party, Mike Catter, Pauline Hanson's One Nation, Liberal Democrats. I got fed up of both the Labor and the Liberal myself. I think a lot of people did, because a lot of independents won this year, David.
They did. It's what, as a historian, as a political scientist, I found it fascinating. Now, on our podcast, we interviewed a few of the independent candidates.
What were they?
What were they?
Yeah, what party? Sorry.
Oh, they were independents. It was Kylie Tink from North Sydney who won. I think we did Zoe Daniel from Goldstein who won. We did a couple of candidates who unfortunately didn't get up.
Bugger.
One, Senate rules changed. So the senators that we interviewed had very little chance, particularly in retrospect. I thought a couple of them might sneak a Senate seat in, but they didn't. And those independents, and this gets back to your point, most of them would have voted Liberal, and they targeted Liberal seats. And they themselves felt that the Liberal Party didn't represent them anymore. You know, that and it was the environment that was the main issue, that they wanted a Liberal Party that could have a sensible approach to the environment. They liked smaller taxes. They liked individualism. They liked all the stuff that your typical Liberal voter would vote.
The problem I found with I used to be a supporter of climate change myself, but now I lost interest. I feel that too much that's the Labor government's focusing on. They said that we're going to reduce the cost of living, which worries me more than climate change, David, because it seems to be a hassle just to have a roof and get food on the table now with the war in Ukraine, even under ScoMo.
And that's that's a thing too. It's climate change is really important. Did you have flooding out where you are?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you flooded? Were you okay?
I was okay, but Camden got flooded big time.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, these rains are almost certainly, because we've had 4 1 in 100-year rains in 2 years, almost certainly the climate changing, and almost certainly because of all the stuff we've put into the atmosphere. Now, hopefully it can be, and I myself, not being a climate scientist, but having read a fair bit from academic sources, it can be reversed. But you're exactly right. There is this worry out there that while we look at theoretical changes to environment, prices are going up. Now, some of this is, of course, billionaire media owners realizing that pushing the climate change is wrong isn't working anymore because of the extreme weather we've been having. So some of it is, they'll be focused on this, and as a result, your prices will go up and then you won't be able to afford to live anyway. Some of it is that. But there is, I think, a genuine fear in there that, how do I have a future if I can't be a coal miner anymore? Now, that's only 4% of not even 0.4% of the job market. But for Labor, one of the big unions is the mining union, the CFMEU, and their members are saying, hold on, sure, shut the industry down, but what do we do for work after that? So that's something that Labor has to try and balance. Liberal too, nobody wants to be, nobody wants to shut down an industry with tens of thousands of workers, with some notable exceptions, but you don't want to be the minister who says, yep, we've decided we're closing all coal mines and we're just going to mine lithium and zinc and tin and stuff like that.
It seems like Mark Latham's not happy about the LGBTQ community. I don't have an issue with it, but if you oppose that, the Conservative parties, you just get attacked these days on social media if you don't want to support the left's views, especially now with technology, David.
Mark Latham,
he's on Sky News Australia.
I know who he is. I met him once. He is very provocative in what he says, and deliberately provocative. He's not the only one. Well, let's be fair. So he finds things that really don't matter. As you just said, you don't mind if people are gay, straight, or what have you. It doesn't affect your daily life. If a gay guy came up to you and said, hi, I'm gay, you'd say, oh, it's very nice. What's your partner's name? Yak, 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 and that's the opinion, I think, of most Australians. So to get his voice heard, because Mark Latham is a very controversial figure and thrives on controversy too. He says things like, they're teaching our kids in school how to be trans. And that's not actually true. They're teaching tolerance of people, and that's fine, and that's as it should be. Because again, if you wanted to change your name and wear a dress and identify as female, that's your business and that's your right. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't change our life. You standing outside that, your life as you see it today. It's just a thing that we've become more accepting of over the last however long. And I know that there's histories of, and that this has always been around, but of course it was very much like homosexuality. It was very much underground because of the illegality of it.
Yeah, well, in Tasmania, I think it was illegal to do that.
It was everywhere. Tasmania was the last state to legalize it, and I think that's as late as 1990 or something. It's incredibly late. Britain is the 60s. I think New South Wales is 78, 79, something like that. South Australia is a little bit earlier. Yeah, it's not till the late 20th century that Australia says, yeah, hold on, this isn't bothering anyone. We can still watch the football and drink beer and do all the Aussie things. If other people are choosing to do other things, it's really not bothering us. And the other thing too is that it was costing a lot of money in police resource, in jail resources, to do what? To achieve nothing. This is the whole trans thing. And even if it is a phase, and to any trans people listening, I'm not saying that it's a phase, but there you might get those people who think, oh, yeah, I'm going to do this for a bit, and then a few years later realize that it's not for them. Even if it is that, who cares? It's like wearing your hair long and wearing flower shirts in the 70s. The hippies, being a hippie or being a rock and roller or being it's just the same thing again and again.
See, what frustrates me the most is you get in all these political parties about marijuana. I want to get all political about it. I mean, I just think, look, if it's got health benefits, then just legalize it. Why do people want to make it so complicated than what it is?
Yeah, I don't. I've never tried it. I don't use it. Why are you laughing?
Yeah,
it's true. I never have. But if other people in the privacy of their own home need it for health or like it because it relaxes them, who cares? My neighbours, for all I know, I don't think they are, but for all I know, my neighbours are having a huge pot party next door. If they are, good luck to them. I don't need to come. Thanks for the invitation, but no thanks. Go for it. Again, the amount of police resources that could have gone into other more important things than busting kids with a couple of joints. Now, I know it's better than that now. And of course, the thing that, as a economist or as a political scientist, really, all that tax money that could have been made, that they make from tobacco and beer, which are far worse, apparently. Well, alcohol is. And tobacco probably is. It's not any better anyway. And they make a lot of money from the taxing of it. Yeah,
it's all taxed in Australia.
Which they can put back into the health department to help fix the long-term effects of these things. And that's great,
I've noticed our public hospitals, David, in New South Wales have been shit. Campbelltown Hospital has been rated as the worst by the Herald. I think Hornsby.
That's the Herald who never go past Dully Chell.
We've got 10 minutes.
It must be bad.
10 minutes left. I don't know why Zoom's got the short interviews.
That's okay.
No, but it's interesting. And
all your listeners have thought, oh, God, only 10 minutes of this loser. Thank goodness.
Well,
talking about me, of course.
No, it's nice to hear from you. And what about music and all that? So what's happening with you in the music scene?
Club Ride for your Sydney listeners. Club Ride, 7:30 to 10:30 Thursday nights. Come up and bring an instrument if you've got one, or just listen to the amazing people we get in. Truly, we'll get someone come in and never seen them before, and have a go, and our jaws are on the floor, and we won't have them back. They show us up. No, that's not true. If any of them are listening, you're all welcome, and we love having you. I'm writing. We're one of the bands I'm in, Sin and Grace, is doing an album. It's taking a bit of time, but things that take time tend to be a bit better than rushed products. I'm still working on my solo album.
Good on you.
I might send you through a clip You might have seen it. Me doing an arrangement of a Chuck Berry song on mandolin. And if
send it to me. I'll post on my social media.
Great.
Yeah.
And just kind of writing away and keeping my eye on the scene as best as I can.
And that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Keep writing.
Congratulations,
music.
by the way, on Memories of Battle.
Thanks, Dave. Have you seen the music video of it yet?
Yeah, I thought it was wonderful.
Yeah,
I thought you did a really great job.
Always keep it original.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I was just writing about what's going on in the world today. That's how I felt. You probably saw a couple of scenes with coronavirus. That's
I thought the film clip was really great. I thought the music was fantastic.
Yeah, it'll be.
I always enjoy a good Shields release.
Yeah, it'll be a new. I'm looking at publishing a new album this year or early next year, so that'll be a part of a new album.
Fantastic. How many albums is that you'll have done then?
About 6 all up.
So hold on, just think.
From
if I do 7, I'll have one more than you.
Yeah. They're up for sale on the royalty-free library Pond 5 if you need them for any project.
Okay.
So just play it. You should do that. Look at the royalty-free libraries and sell it for a flat fee instead of relying on 20 cents for your royalty paycheck.
Yeah, you get the check from Spotify and the envelope and the postage cost more. You think, why did they do this? Couldn't they have emailed? And when you think of it, there's someone who's had to work out program the spreadsheet to work out your royalty rate, and someone to put to hit send on the emails. All these people are getting paid. No, I've got 17 cents, and that's 5 cents more than I got last. So we're on the up.
I've recently doing some blog articles on Medium. I'm just writing. I wrote an article about the Beatles. So
lovely! I'd love to read it.
Yeah, check it out. And I highly recommend you publish on Medium as well.
I might do that. Did you watch the Beatles Get Back documentary?
Yes, I did.
Who wanted to watch 4 guys sitting in a studio talking to each other? No, it was fantastic. Watching him just come up with Get Back was just amazing, I thought. And, and George bringing a different guitar in every day, but John and Paul pretty much sticking to the same instruments.
It's interesting.
And then Ringo sitting around. Charlie Watts of the Rolling Stones was asked what was it like to be in the Rolling Stones for 25 years. And he said, well, it's 5 years of playing drums and 20 years of hanging around waiting for something to happen. Well, and I think that was Ringo, we're playing. Da, 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 da. Okay, that's enough.
What happened to Pete Best, David?
He's still with us.
But they sacked him.
They did.
Why?
They sacked him. There's a couple of stories. Pete might hear this, and I don't want to misrepresent him. Pete himself claimed that he was a bit too good looking. And John and Paul were a little bit put off. And John and Paul said that he was a terrific drummer and a nice guy, but they really needed somebody with Ringo's sensibilities.
Ringo looked like he wasn't enjoying himself.
He wasn't. Then he leaves the band. It's George. He quits, and John writes him a letter. This isn't in the movie. John writes him a letter saying you're the best drummer in the world, and I can't envision working with anyone else. And he uses Ringo on his first few solo albums too. And Ringo's a fantastic drummer. Pete Best was really just unlucky to be the wrong guy at the wrong time, I think.
So what did Pete Best do after? Did he still pursue music or do something
Not really. He's in a few local bands in Liverpool. He becomes a milkman or a postman for a while. And he writes his memoirs. In 1967, he releases an album called Best of the Beatles. which a lot of people bought thinking it was a best of compilation. Oh, good, here's all my favorite songs on. What is this? But when they did the anthology, he's got a couple of tracks on it, and he gets a very large royalty payout. This is in 95, and that enables him to relax. Anyway, I don't think he retires. I think he still tours around Liverpool in the Pete Best Quartet or something. That was just before. That was just before the pandemic that I heard that. So he may not be now. He may have just retired, but he's still with us, and he's a lot less bitter than he was, which is good.
It's awesome to hear from you. The time is about to time out. I just want to say thanks for coming back on, David.
Thank you for having me. It's been great to talk, and we will do this again in the very near future, I hope.
Well, Will, and I hope good luck with your podcast.
Thank you, and I'm looking forward to this one continuing its upward trajectory.
Yeah, well, it'll get there. It'll get there.
Oh, yeah. And it's on the up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and keep writing your music, and hopefully start publishing.
I will. I'll let you know.
Procrastinating, that's what you're doing.
That's the name of the album. Procrastination.
All right, mate.
All right. Great to see you. Thanks, Steve.
Bye.